All right, today, guys, we're going to talk about how terrain affects your throw and how something like this can come in really handy for practicing right after the intro. Okay, guys, terrain and how the ground slopes affects your throws, especially how they're landing. But today we're talking about how it affects your throws with your stance, because depending on how the terrain is, your body weight, your momentum, everything is going to be shifting maybe a different way than just the flat ground when you're teeing off and being able to throw normally. And so one of the questions is how does it affect me when I have different terrain, and how can I practice it if I don't have the ideal places to practice? Well, that's where something like this comes in handy. Now, if you don't have one of these, you can use a bucket, you can use bricks, you can use whatever. But the thing about this is I can adjust the height. And now you see where I'm going with this? I can use this as my elevation change. So now let's say I want to work on my timing for when I have to throw uphill. Well, how's this right here? I have to start training myself to throw through, and depending on whether this is an awkward stance where I'm like this or I'm having to throw uphill, I can train just by working on this stance right here. I can practice from here. Let's say just because of the way it is, there's a hill, there's a log, there's something here. I can now reenact it with this. And so I literally have just stepped out of the car because that's how I roll. Who needs warm up? Who needs stretching? But so if I'm going to throw to that basket, my timing, I know that timing. But this is a whole different creature, especially depending on where this is. Like if I'm out here, I've got to really do more of this. If I'm here, I've got different options there. Does that make sense? How your feet are lined up and they're plane. So it's not only this plane, but it's also this plane is going to affect your throw. And you really, unless you're playing on a course where you're standing on weird stuff all the time, that's hard to practice. But you can build in some knowledge by doing something like this. Another thing, 5-gallon bucket, whatever that can give you kind of the idea. So now I'm just going to step up and I'm going to work on trying to throw this shot to the basket and just work on using my core more than just getting lazy and pulling through. And I'm going to fall and bust on my butt. See, works great. But you know what that tells me? That tells me that I don't have good weight transfer there or good strength on that. So I need to work on that. All right, let's try that again. And heck, guys, I'm just making up things that I think will work good for me, but also work good for you, because I've sat here and thought about how I can demonstrate the different terrains, because it really makes a difference if you're having to lean over like this, or you're leaning like this, or you're leaning like that. How could I come up with an idea for how you could practice that, how I could practice it? Because heck, unless you're going to go find certain spots on the course, and usually they're in weird places, you don't have a good opportunity to practice it. This might be an option for you. All right, so let's try that again. I've got to stay planted and drive through without losing control. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm spreading out a little bit more, putting more weight on my back so that I'm not going to drive into this and pull this over, hopefully. Okay, that was better. Did you see I was able to maintain a little more control? All right, so now what I want to do is, that was pretty good, but I want to see if I adjust over here, can I throw more easily and get a little more power? Not bad, not bad. How about if I close it in a little more? No, that just felt tighter. So I actually like opening up more so that I can swing my hips, swing my body into my hips a little bit more. All right, let's do it again. Open up. Yeah, I can definitely get a smoother throw through there by just going from here to here. All right, all right. Now, any of you engineers out there can figure out how to make a hydraulic platform where you can change all this stuff that you can get a run up. That's the next level. All right, I definitely like spreading out a little bit more. My weight is here. Now the thing I notice on something like this, and whenever I'm like having to do patent pending or something like that, I tend to overcompensate. And because I'm so used to the timing being here, what's happening is I'm going here and I'm releasing here, so I tend to pull off to the right. So this is how you figure out those idiosyncrasies in your own throw and figure out how to compensate for that. All right. So some of what I have to do is I just have to think about driving my head right towards the basket. Now I'm throwing the first set of these are torpedoes, and they're nice straight flyers with a little stability to them at the end, a little fade. I'm gonna check how the creatures do after that, because that's the other side of it. What kind of disc do you want to throw when you've got certain types of shots? You see, my weight transfer wasn't that settled on that one. I almost flipped the stool over. And this is my last one with the torpedoes. All right, let's do a good throw. I'm gonna spread out here, almost like I'm doing a patent pending. I'm opening up more so I get more swing through. Much better. Felt cleaner? Yep. All right, so that's my straight flyers. Let's try it with the creature. So now the creature is a flippy. It's a -2, -3. So I'm gonna do the same thing. This is much more comfortable out here. And see, did you notice on all those throws, my tendency is to come through, but also to get nose up and kind of push it out here and then let it fade. So an understable may help resist some of that, because I tend to want to lift up because I'm so used to throwing on this plane. Now I need to be throwing on this plane. Well, I'm gonna want to be pulling up here, but hopefully the creature, the understable, will help pull it over a little bit this way instead of it going up and fading off this way. That's my theory. I'm like the MacGyver without the theme music or the scientific knowledge. I just kind of make this crap up. Oh, torpedo snuck in there. Huh, okay. So no telling what I threw. Some of those better shots might have actually been with the creature. Okay, so I was interspersing. So I just blew that whole control group out of the water. I have a feeling that my better throws were with the creatures. Yeah, all right. Once again, science. All right, I just have a feeling this, because I'm coming through and I'm driving, and because I'm pivoting around, I'm tending to pull up. So I want to keep this nice and flat right here. But even it would take more for me to stay flatter here, but I need to think about that. Oh, see, that's nice, yeah. Just to take out some of my hyzer tendency. Much better. Yep, you see I still got nose up and hyzering out. So now let me grab these torpedoes, and now that I know that, I need to make sure that I'm working on driving through and out here. Better, but see, I then pull across. And that usually gets me in trouble, because when you're in a situation like this, a lot of times you're over in the woods on the side, and you're usually trying to get out here. If you pull back this way, you're usually hitting something. So let's see if I can get a better throw. I want to drive through. Better, still a little nose up. It's not bad, but you see, It's still rising a little bit. I'm trying to throw it right at the basket. I threw it right at the basket. Not bad. This is harder than it looks. You see me thinking about it. I'm trying to, but that's a sign of I'm doing some work. I'm having to figure stuff out. And that's what you want from your practice sometimes. Sometimes you want to just be drilling the same good stuff in, and sometimes you want to be pushing and figuring stuff out. Be a student of yourself and the game. All right, that was, whenever I get it flatter, I tend to pull over here. That's not bad, but still. The tendency is either this or this. I can't get that middle ground. All right, one more. I want. Because I'm throwing over my leg, there's just a tendency to lift. Huh. All right, well, that's my first round, trying it out. I didn't break anything, yay! And I think I figured a few things out. Let me go grab them. Now folks, keep in mind, I'm doing some of this for teaching and exaggerated purposes so that you can see what's going on. I don't recommend starting out like this. You know, the good news is with something like this, you can start with just a little bit. Now you've just got a little bit of an upslope, but that doesn't show very well on camera. Woo, exciting, ta-da! So you've got to figure out what pace, what slope, what things work for you. What I would say is find that if you're out playing and you get to a place where you find an uncomfortable slope that you go, man, I keep having to throw from here and I just don't get it, that might be a good indicator of what kind of height is a good place to start practicing some of this. Does that make sense? Yeah, you're smart enough. You're picking up what I'm putting down. I don't have to explain everything to you. I give you some ideas, throw them out like seeds and let y'all figure it out. All right. So now, what about the reverse? What about if I'm downslope? So now the tendency is going to be wanting me to turf it. So now I've got to figure out, is it better for me to be closed like this or open like this? If the first one's any indicator, I have a feeling it's going to be the opposite. Here, let me get you over here. All right, so I'm going to try neutral first. Weight's on the front leg now. This is just, let's say the grounder slope, something like this. So now I'm going to try to pull through. You see the first throw, I'm out of balance again. You've got to figure out how to transfer the weight. All right, let's try that again. Let's make sure to keep our weight forward. Better, but you see how I'm driving it right into the ground. That's a tendency when you've got your feet in different heights. It's going to affect your timing. All right, so what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to work on opening up a little bit. I'm going to try to spin out here. I have a feeling opening up is going to help. I don't know. I think this feels better. I think that feels better, kind of like patent pinning, but it allows me to swing through a little bit better. Oh, but I'm pulling across. How often do you do that with a patent pinning? You just yank it right over. All right, let's think about this. All right, here. Okay. One of the things I've got to remember is not to yank it, but to drive through smoothly. I'm going to lose some distance, but hopefully I'm going to be able to control it a little bit better. All right. That's okay, but yeah, definitely losing some distance. I think this open just makes me, this definitely feels better. But I think I want to expand out a little bit more so I can get over my right leg a little bit more. Still throwing down, but a better pull through. So I'm really having to concentrate on not driving into it. I don't understand that. There's a whole park. Better. I'm keeping it nice and flat and driving through. Why did he have to walk around and cut through while he saw me and just had to come through? Make me stop so he could walk through while he's talking on the phone. Sorry, it's a little pet peeve of mine. We're no longer being social and hospitable to each other. We're all about ourselves. Guys, it's more important about relationships than getting your piece of the pie. All right, I think I want to go over here. That felt better. You notice I got a better release and a better distance. Now I still trailed off a little bit that way, but that was better. I can definitely engage a little more power from over here. And these are things you don't think about until you practice. All right. Better. All right. All right, so let's see if the understable, that means I don't have to pull over quite as much. I can let the disc do a little bit for me. So I can be a little bit on hyzer here. All right. Notice that one's pushing out a little bit that way. I can also tell this is really working my core, so I can only do these. This would be my only set because I don't need to overdo it. Yeah, that's nice. I don't feel as stressed that I have to snap it as much or have to give it as much spin, which is nice with the understable versus the overstable. Does that make sense? I know I've got a little more wiggle room with it. It just feels like, okay, it's not gonna kill me if I leave it out here a little bit. Oh, I definitely left it out there, but it's a nice smooth throw. Timing. All right. Much better. I like it. Oh, I overcranked it. You can see my weight was off. The stool actually is a good indicator because I don't know if you could see it. It might not be in the camera on this, but started shaking afterwards. So I did not have good control there. We want to be smooth. As a matter of fact, let me get this down a little bit. Oh, he's coming through again. Good. Guys, what you don't understand is there's a road right here. You can easily just turn around right there and go back the other way. But no, he's watching me. The thing is, he's watching me. It's not like he doesn't know what I'm doing. better out there. But remember, in practice, even the bad ones are teaching you something. One of the things it's teaching me is my back can only take, I only got 4 more of these because I'm probably going to need to soak my back after this thing. But that's where they talk about, guys, if you're not working on your core, if you want to improve your game, work on your core. I'm trying to. Listen, I love my Cokes and all that stuff, but core is really important out here. If you want to progress past a certain point. Otherwise, have fun, don't worry about it. Okay, not bad. As we're getting older, one of the things, if we can work on our balance, our core, I'm trying to work on standing on one foot and doing some stuff to push back the entropy. And this is part of it. This is, you know, back in the day, I could just grab a disc and throw it standing. However, as I'm getting older, I have to suddenly go, ooh, my body can't do that anymore. And I have to figure out, part of this is figuring out the most efficient, the most beneficial way to do this stuff, so that I'm not learning it on the course, one shot at a time over a year. I'm learning it in a matter of 30 minutes here. Oh, see, I need to keep my weight out here, burning it a little bit. Not bad, but I'm yanking. All right, let's do one more. Yeah, I was gonna try to figure out a way to do it from the side. It really doesn't work, does it? Like I said, work in progress. All right, we'll do one more of these. But just this alone. Heck, I've got side slopes over here. You can find, usually, a lot of times you can find side slopes easier than you can find up and down. But anyway, it was a good thought. Maybe you got a better feel, a better idea. Let's get the conversation started. Leave some comments. Let me know what you think. This is, yeah, this was, I actually like this, but I think it needs a little tweaking. It needs a little more chewing this out. This was, after work, I was like, what can I work on today? And one of the things, there's a couple holes up here that just the slope has been working me, especially with the backhand. Listen, forehand, this is the other thing. This is why you do the forehand. Listen, I can sit here and throw forehands all day long. Either way, that's not the problem. It's the backhand because it's the weight transfer. So first of all, we're starting out, this is at least training my body timing-wise with this type of stance. We haven't even included the run-up, and then you get extra body motion in here. But so this is at least teaching me, okay, what I need to think about, maybe what kind of disc to throw in this situation, so that when I'm out on the course, I'm not just guessing and flailing. I'm actually got some ideas about what I need to do. All right, last one. Oh, that was pretty good. And see, a lot of it is I'm working on my nose angle, because you notice that one's a little nose up, but it wasn't bad. Wasn't bad. All right, so there you go. There's my quick tip for today. Try something like this, but please don't hurt yourself. If you've got balance issues or whatever, maybe get you a big pile of dirt or something, or a log or something that's not going to tip over. I had this, and the nice thing about this, I can change the heights and do some different stuff like that. But I'm also, did you notice, my weight was only on, it was on the other side. Don't put all your weight on this and then fall over, break a hip or anything like that. Because if you do, I'm not responsible. Try these at your own risk. But anyway, I just thought it was something, if nothing else, get you thinking about working on the different terrains and how much that can affect your shot. Because it's really gonna change the tempo and the timing of what you're throwing. So there you go, guys. Another sweaty afternoon after work, but hey, hopefully we got a little bit out of that, and I appreciate you watching up to this point. If you don't mind giving a like, subscribe, maybe check out my Patreon channel. I'm trying to do this thing more and more, and I could use your help. And I appreciate you coming along with me, and I hope to see you out on the course.